Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Amazon's Lord of the Rings because why the hell not? Apparently they have 5 seasons planned for this show.
They've only been approved for 2.
They've only been approved for 2, and this is the age of streaming. So if the backlash translates into lower than expected viewing numbers, and the show is as expensive as we've heard, 5 is really reaching. So you better wrap your storyline up in the first season or 2, right? Just to make sure. Just to make sure. I mean, this happened with Squid King. He's a big fan of Raised by Wolves on Hbo Max. It just got announced it was canceled.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, they answer questions and they ask more questions. I'm like, yeah, this is what J.J. Abrams does too. It's like, you always assume you're going to have another season, but I wouldn't bet on it, especially now, especially with the money running out. But we're going to talk about what they could possibly do with 5 seasons of a Lord of the Rings show that's basically just whole cloth made up fan fiction. We're going to introduce, well, they're not hobbits. They call them proto-hobbits, the Harfoots. You call them Hobbit-Adjacent.
I was just joking about that. They're like, they're like Hobbit-Adjacent. I don't know.
Hobbit-Adjacent. They're not quite hobbits yet. Now, they are the ancestors of the hobbits, and they're doing this so they can obviously get diversity in there. Because
they flat out say that's why.
Right, but this is actually kind of worse because that means that apparently all the brown hobbits have been bred out by white hobbits by the time
we left on the boat.
I don't know. Something happened. I mean, this whole thing looks I know they're trying to quote unquote fix Tolkien, but it actually is worse because by the time we get to the Lord of the Rings, it's all white people. I know. So where'd all the brown people go?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I mean, because they're trying to go by these mandates and stuff. And the problem is, it might even not be that bad of a show. The issue is leading into, one, they're making all this shit up.
Yes, that's the problem.
And 2, they have done nothing but vilify Tolkien, vilify fans of the original films. And so they've already started this campaign, which has already turned so many people off. And once again, they don't get that by doing this narrative, people might have given it a shot. Even though they know you're making it up, they might still have given it a chance. But now you have them just so pissed off.
Yeah, and this is part of that whole discussion around Tolkien and whether or not Tolkien's racist and the orcs are racist, and all that's bleeding over into Dungeons and Dragons because Dungeons and Dragons took a lot of cues from Tolkien, and it's a big old mess. And good luck with that. Good luck with getting more than 2 seasons, especially if the show costs as much. It doesn't look like it costs as much as they're claiming, but if it costs as much as they're claiming, good luck with that. So we're going to talk about this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Make sure you're still subscribed. YouTube likes to unsubscribe people, so make sure you're still subscribed.
Especially when you point out stuff like the media being liars.
That does happen. Every time we have a spicy video, all of a sudden we see the numbers kind of go up and down and up and down. And I don't think it's people leaving on their own because we have people in the comments saying, hey, I was subscribed to you yesterday and now I'm not subscribed to you. What's going on? I'm like, I don't control it. I'm sorry. So make sure you're still subscribed. Ring the bell for notifications and all that crap. So let's talk about the 5 seasons first. The 5 seasons of the Lord of the Rings of Power, the Power of the Rings of the Lord on Amazon.
You always say that.
Highly anticipated fan fiction.
By like 10 people. No, I'm sorry.
I have zero interest.
Yeah, we're not gonna probably be watching it. So, but and I'm not saying it automatically is bad just because they're making it up as they go. But traditionally speaking, in the past, when they've made up the shit as they went, or they went and appropriated things, it ends up being bad.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to be that great.
And when you have to lead with, you're a terrible person if you don't like this, that just tells you right out it's going to be bad because they're showing you what they're not caring about making a good show, make a good show. They're caring about making a good show to bring diversity points.
So the writers, not Tolkien, obviously, the writers of the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power are in it for the long haul. The series still hasn't even debuted, but already has a 2-season commitment from Amazon.
Ooh-wee.
J.D. Payne tells Empire Magazine, they have a big spread in Empire Magazine, that their plans for the show go far beyond that. 5 seasons of the Rings of Power are already meticulously planned out, including exactly how the show will end. Hopefully it's not the sad ending where all the brown people get gone.
Well,
for reasons like,
to be fair, knowing how your show will end is usually a lot of shows start out with the ending first and they work backwards. And I think that's a good thing because that even if you don't like the show, at least they have a plan.
Yes, J.J. Abrams, take note. Please. Yeah. We even know what our final shot of the last episode is going to be. We do with Shadowbinders. We know how it's going to end. The rights that Amazon bought were for a 50-hour show. The rights they bought. That does not mean they're going to exercise those rights. No. They may get a season or two into it and be like, oh, damn, this did not go the way we expected it to go. We're not making our money back. They knew from the beginning that was the size of the canvas. This was a big story with a clear beginning, middle, and end. Same with Dark Crystal on Netflix, and look how that
that's true too. Out. Yeah, it's valid.
There are things in the first season that don't pay off until season 5 again.
So hurry up, go beg Amazon to give us more seasons. They didn't renewed a Halo for season 2, and I don't know how that's going to work out for it, but that was over Paramount. But still, they renewed that one for 2 seasons early.
Yeah, that's true. So here we go. This is where that comes off the rails. It was like Tolkien put stars in the sky and let us make out the constellations, Payne said.
Okay.
In his letters, particularly in one to his publisher, Tolkien talked about wanting to leave behind a mythology that left scope for other minds and hands wielding the tools of paint, music, and drama. Taking his IP and making up your own shit wasn't exactly, I don't think, what he had in mind. I think he was basically like, I want to inspire people to, and Christopher Tolkien, his son, who would have known better than anyone what his intentions, his dad's intentions actually were. He had a really tight rein on the estate and the franchise for a number of years. He didn't even like the New Line movies.
No.
So.
And then as soon as he was gone, they took advantage.
As soon as he was gone. He lived as long as he could before he sailed off into the West. We're doing what Tolkien wanted. We're doing what Tolkien... No, I don't think so. Like I said, Christopher Tolkien would strongly disagree if he were still alive. As long as we felt like every invention of ours was true to his essence, we knew we were on the right track.
But wait. I thought he was a terrible, shitty, racist person. So how are they going to make sure that their intention is true to his essence, but he's a problematic person who they hate, so they have to fix it all?
He made the racist orcs.
So you're going to make a quote-unquote racist movie because you're true to his essence? I like to think of his essence. He said Dark Crystal. I think of his essence.
God, that makes me so mad. Dark Crystal. Okay, this is one of the few examples where the reboot, sequel, prequel was actually better than the original. Dark Crystal on Netflix was really damn good.
It actually was.
They clearly had a story planned, and I was really into it. And then one season, boom, it's done. Mm-hmm. They already had the puppets made. Like, it would it have been that expensive to keep it going? I
don't know what happened, but I just find that comment hilarious because they've also they're saying that here, but the narrative that has been spun is he's a racist shit, so we have to fix it.
Yeah. This is what Tolkien would have wanted. No, I don't think so. The pressure would drive us insane if we didn't feel like there was a story here that didn't come from us. It comes from a bigger place. It came from Tolkien, and we're just the stewards of it. We trust those ideas so deeply because they're not ours. We're custodians at best.
Well, I mean, I respect that opinion. That's correct.
So why are you making shit up whole cloth?
Exactly. And I don't know. It's just, so their answer is to make all these diverse characters that are going to be dead by the movies, are going to be gone and genocide. I mean, it amuses Squid King because he's like, so was there a mass genocide before the other movies?
Yeah, it actually makes it worse because now you have to wonder, now, as I understand it, I could be wrong, but these are Peter Jackson adjacent movies. Technically, it doesn't lead into those movies exactly. They just make sure that this show looks like it could be a prequel.
Let me ask you this though: in the descriptions in the books, were the characters very different from Peter Jackson's portrayals?
Some of them were.
Not skin tone and stuff.
No,
that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking not about the characterization in the movie. I'm talking about the whole race thing that they're going on about.
Well, now, Peter Jackson did take some liberties with The Hobbit.
I knew he did.
Which, I don't like The Hobbit. I don't like them. I think
I just thought it was boring. It was 3 movies was too much for that one.
Yeah, and I think they're like, oh, we need another Lord of the Rings trilogy, so let's just, take The Hobbit, which is the shortest book, and stretch it out into 3 overly long movies. And then they have extended editions of those movies. I'm like, the whole fucking thing is the extended edition.
Yeah, I know.
Like, they were doing this too. They were pulling stuff out of the appendices and just like, oh, Tolkien one time just made a joke about this character. Let's throw this character into the thing. Let's make up a female elf or whatever.
To be fair, though, there was a lot of extra stuff in the appendices that they could spin off into the show. So, and there's a lot of the lore they give you that happened before this. So there is some stuff to work with. And I will give them that because, I'm not trying to make excuses for it. I think this show is going to be going by what they're defending. Exactly. It's not that the writers are trying to do damage control. Like, we're just trying to we know we're the custodians. That's something that people like us have talked about many times. Like, you don't own the IP. You're just in charge of being like, you're temporarily, overseeing it.
Yeah.
Being I think you've used custodian before as an expression.
Yeah. If you didn't create it, you're
right.
Just,
And now the writers are coming out and they're trying to damage control. They're like, well, we don't own it. We're the custodians of it. Meanwhile, the media all runs with, y'all don't like it, you're racist. So.
Yeah, and that's not the issue. Like I said, I don't even like the Hobbit movies. I think there are some individual scenes that are, I guess I feel the same way about the Hobbit movies I do like Spider-Man 3. Okay, it was on the other night. Okay, Spider-Man 3 has some good individual scenes that I think are actually some of the best in the entire Sam Raimi trilogy, but the movie itself is not good. No. And that's how I feel about The Hobbit. Like, there are some good scenes in The Hobbit, but the trilogy itself is not good.
No.
So I checked
boiled
out
down to one or two movies easily.
Yeah, and they had a great cast and everything. It's just like, what the hell happened?
It wasn't good enough.
Wasn't good enough. So I don't have any hopes for this
They're
anyway.
all the wrong color and gender.
They are. Well, they did add a female elf. They added some.
Well, I know, but but the whole show would have been better if they were all women.
Yeah. Well, they had hot dwarves.
Just ask the internet.
Yeah, they would be. They had hot dwarves in The Hobbit. That was. I remember that was a big kerfuffle too. They're like, why are the dwarves? Why are they all like hot? Hot dwarves. Dwarves aren't hot. They're little fat, pudgy, bearded dudes. Anyway.
Okay, some people find that hot though. I'm just saying.
Some people do.
I'm not judging.
Put a little belly on it.
Some people are into that, and that's completely fine.
Anyway, so it is the fan sites, the fandom. And again, this bleeds into the D&D stuff. Everybody's a racist, everybody's a misogynist, everybody's a homophobe, blah, 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 blah. We know the drill, right? And this is going to be another one of those things. You're not going to be able to criticize the show objectively.
Because if you are, you're racist.
Yes. Like, you can't criticize this fan fiction. It's got brown people in it, and you're an awful person if you said, hey, this didn't need to be made. It did need to be made. It's about time it was made. We're just correcting Tolkien's oversight. The racist piece of shit.
It'd be perfect when it fit everybody other than a white man.
Yeah. So anyway, they're going to drag the Harfoots into it. The Harfoots, of course, are the proto-hobbits, right? Now, so at some point, the hobbits become very pale and pasty. I don't know if it's from staying indoors and drinking and smoking the weed or what's going on here, but all the hobbits become very, very pasty now. But they're going to drag the Harfoots into it, and they're going to have to just make shit up, I guess, at this point, because there's not a whole lot about it. So this is also coming from comicbook.com. They said it's hard to have a show based in Middle-earth without somehow featuring Tolkien's most beloved creations, the Hobbits. Middle-earth did start in a book titled The Hobbit. After all, the show's writers found a loophole in the Harfoots, the Hobbits' ancestors' cousins. While they are technically different from the Hobbits, again, Hobbit-Adjacent. Mm-hmm. That was your term.
I did. I was kidding, but yes.
You were like just kind of throwing it like, oh yeah, there's these Hobbit-Adjacent. I'm like, Hobbit-Adjacent? Damn, that's a good title for a video.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what they're saying.
Hobbit-Adjacent.
They're related, but they're not. They're kind of cousins.
Kinda, sorta. They're technically different from the Hobbits featured in Lord of the Rings. Lenny Henry, who plays Sadoc Burrows, says they fall into a similar archetype. We're the traditional Tolkien little guy. They're basically just hobbits. They're basically hobbits. Just instead of concerning hobbits, we're basically hobbits. Traditionally, the little people in this world provide comedy, but also get to be incredibly brave. You're going to see us run a full gamut of emotions and actions in this adventure, and maybe they'll smoke lots and lots of weed. Because hobbits like to do that too.
Actually, so far, they seem the most interesting characters I've seen.
Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, personally, I'm not like so invested in Lord of the Rings that I get upset. Like, I know a lot of people are. And that's cool because I get it. I totally get where you're coming from as somebody who's been invested in other things that they've changed. So I'm not, making fun of anybody for that. But, I have no problem with their having these characters and having them be played by people of color, adding diverse representation to a franchise and genre where such roles are often rare. They're telling you right there why they're doing it. And that's what I have a problem with. It's like, you could just make them the characters and no one would probably be that upset about it. But when you have to go and push it in there.
Well, here's what I have a problem with. Regardless of, I don't care about the skin color of the proto-Hobbit-Adjacent hobbits. One of the very specific things the texts say is that hobbits never did anything historic or noteworthy before the Third Age, McKay said in an interview with Vanity Fair. But really, does it feel like Middle-earth if you don't have hobbits or something like hobbits in it?
So what's that implying that these characters...
Tolkien was wrong.
Well, not just that. It's implying that these characters are going to go do something major important because,
Oh my God, he literally says it.
Oh, really?
They may not live in the Shire, but they're satisfyingly Hobbit-adjacent.
I didn't even read it.
Oh my God, there it is.
There it is. I didn't even read it.
There it effing is. Hobbit-adjacent.
I was kidding. I didn't even read that.
Hobbit-adjacent.
It was a joke.
So he's basically like, Tolkien said the hobbits really didn't do anything important. So to get around that, even though we're custodians of Tolkien lore, to get around, to do an end run around Tolkien, who we respect and love and everything he says is gospel, we're just going to create these other characters and they're going to do all the stuff that hobbits would do. But since they're not hobbits, technically they didn't do it.
So they can go do something majorly better than the hobbits.
So that's going to be like, Sam and Frodo are going to be also Rans.
I don't even care. I mean, about this
I don't
show.
care. I just don't care.
The more I hear, the more I'm like...
Hobbit-adjacent.
I was kidding. I was joking.
You didn't even get that far into the article.
I only read the first paragraph or so, rolled my eyes and sent it over to you. I didn't even read the ending. I was kidding about it being Hobbit-adjacent.
Hobbit-adjacent.
I was like, I don't know. These characters like Hobbit-Adjacent.
I can't even with the... I can't.
You're so predictable.
Everything is like...
rattle something off and it becomes true.
You're not quite right-wing, Clownfish, but I think you're Nazi-adjacent.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, we can't get around the fact that we can't call you alt-right because you're not Republicans or on the right, but that's okay. We'll just say you're adjacent.
You're adjacent. That's how they do it. It's like, you're just coming up a little too close to that line I don't like.
Just like everybody who thinks that Johnny Depp's innocent is Nazi adjacent.
Oh, for fuck's sake. This show's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster, right? It doesn't matter. Black people, white people, short people, tall people, fat people, thin people, doesn't fucking matter. The show's going to be a disaster because they're just making shit up whole cloth. And already they're showing you how much respect. In the same article, look at how much we respect Tolkien. We don't want to do anything that Tolkien...
We were like the custodians of it.
But Tolkien specifically said hobbits didn't... But we're just going to do an end run around that by making Hobbit-adjacent characters that do all the important stuff. And then we can say we didn't break the rules.
The hobbits didn't do anything. But these other characters, they were the true heroes.
Oh my God. Okay, we're going to wrap this up.
God, yes.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.